Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss a recent development concerning our post-Brexit border arrangements, which involves port authorities somewhat upset that the government has shafted them with a change of policy which has left them massively out of pocket. It's not just that Brexit's hurting their business, as it is with other businesses, but that the government keep changing the goalposts, making them much less competitive. Will businesses decide at some point that their traditional attitude of backing the Conservatives is a self-defeating position these days? But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, as the issue of ports is topical right now, there was a report a couple of weeks ago of the government screwing over £450 million worth of investments with its fickle attitude towards our post-Brexit border arrangements. Should you be in any doubt if the government actually have a plan for Brexit or not, this pretty much tells you no, they don't. For all the talk of controlling our borders, Brexit has brought way less control. And it doesn't matter what sort of control you're talking about either. You know, although we brought in proper customs declaration systems a year after we left the customs union, we still aren't carrying out enough physical checks. This means that we're losing out on billions of pounds in import duties. So when the government say they can't afford to do more to help with the cost of living, we don't just need to point out that these costs have increased way higher than for neighbouring countries, but that the government are ignoring a major source of revenue regarding customs. We know that the control the Brexit racists mostly wanted was regarding refugees. Well, to hear them whinge and whine these days, you'd think the problem was worse than ever. I mean, you would think that if they're claiming Brexit has made the problem worse, they'd be keeping a pretty low profile now. But no, they're shouting louder than ever. But standards is the big one. We don't have a system in place for dealing with regulatory checks, even a year and a half after leaving the single market, and we're no closer to either. This is exposing us to serious risks of infectious animal diseases. It's the very opposite of control. And it's this that has upset UK ports recently, because although we don't really have the infrastructure to manage these checks, we would like to. I don't think anybody, no matter where they stand on Brexit, has got a particular interest in not having these checks. The problem is one of capacity. How can we do it? And the recent delays at Dover have highlighted part of the problem. It's easy for the politicians to blame the French for not having enough officials in place for checking, but even the CEO of the Port of Dover acknowledged that this sort of thing is going to keep happening because the checks take longer. And that was our decision. We chose to be a third country. We chose to get the third country checks. Used to take seconds to deal with passport control, if it was even checked at all. Now it takes several minutes to manage the same flow through the port as before Brexit. You'd need, about 20 times as many passport booths? There isn't the space for this sort of expansion. I did mention in the live stream last night that the French suggested that we did increase the number of passport booths. A couple of years ago they said, do you want to increase here so that we can put more staff on? And the UK government said, no, it's fine as it is. So all the complaining about not enough French officials is disingenuous, to put it politely. I also said yesterday, if I were President Macron, after all this hoo-ha, do you know what I would do? I would order French officials to just have one person checking. Oh, you're not happy with 6? Right, you can go down to 1. We'll check 1 passport at a time until the UK government has issued a full, frank and public apology for their lies. See how they choose between permanent mile-long queues or owning up to their misdeeds. It's sort of the saying, rather be hung for a wolf as a sheep. But of course, this is not the most diplomatic way to deal with the situation. I absolutely don't think Macron would. And this is absolutely the reason why I should never be allowed to become a politician, because that is how I deal with things like this. But the point is that expansion, even when the government would be up for it, is limited in scope. A land border has more scope for expansion. But back to why UK ports are annoyed right now. So basically, the government had told them they needed to invest in what are called border control posts. These are for sanitary and phytosanitary checks, basically checks on animals and animal products from third countries. And since Brexit, that means everyone in the world, including our closest neighbours, where we get most of our stuff from. The government had insisted that UK ports build these in order to get ready for the standards checks that they keep putting off. And this is fair enough. Absolutely, we needed these things. They were supposed to be in place when we left the single market. Then they were delayed by 6 months, then another 6 months, then another 6 months. Now they've been put off indefinitely. So as far as I can tell, the official government policy is that these standards checks are part of their future plans, but they don't know when in the future, nor do they have a plan for them. The plan used to involve telling ports to build these facilities, but in April it seems they changed their minds. Oh, do you know these border control posts that we told you to build? The government seemed to say to these ports. Yes, they replied. The ones that have cost us 450 million quid that you told us we had to build. Yeah, those are the ones, yeah. We're not taking responsibility for them anymore. We're classing them as commercial endeavours. Basically, the government's saying, look, you can build them if you want. We've got no objection to that, but we don't care anymore. So those ports have spent hundreds of millions of pounds on facility that no bugger knows when they'll get use. The government forced the ports to build them and are now saying, I don't care about them anymore. It's like saving up to get your little brat a pony, only to be told on the day you buy it, don't want it now. I hate ponies. According to the report I read, the government told these ports they had to build the border posts or they wouldn't be allowed to handle certain goods. Well, that's a massive loss of revenue, so of course they built them. Now they're not in use and with no plan to ever be in use. They're wanting compensation from the government. Right, yeah. We have a government that's trashed the economy and is under pressure to cough up for public spending on levelling up that they promised in 2019, but also bringing the tax cuts that they keep promising, when the cost of borrowing is also fairly high. Getting money out of this government, especially when Johnson is gone, is going to be like getting blood from a stone. And it's particularly bad for ports when you consider that Brexit in general has caused problems for their business model. COVID hit them, like with some businesses, COVID hit them really hard. Brexit not so much, so they're doing better now. Some businesses sort of got through COVID, but Brexit hit them really hard. Ports got hit by both, and they're commercial. They get paid for people passing through those ports. The fewer people pass through, the fewer goods pass through, the less money they get. Unless, of course, they raise their prices, of course. Due to the difficulties of leaving both the customs union and the single market, their capacity is being reduced. So they can't get as many people through or as many goods through. And it's costing them more money to manage what demand there is. And I know I've mentioned this a lot before, but it's impossible for me to look at this mess that our ports are in right now and not think of what it'll be like when biometric checks are fully mandated for all non-EU citizens passing from Britain to any country in Schengen, which includes France, of course. Also got me to thinking about business in general, though. Remember when people were urging the government to delay the end of the transition period until after the pandemic was dealt with? And the government said, no. It's very important we give a definite date to businesses to give them certainty. Businesses like certainty, they said. True enough. Problem is that Brexit is anything but certain. This is why investment in the UK is down due to Brexit. It's not because we can't trade anymore. We can. It's just more difficult. But we can trade. The major problem is that businesses don't know the rules for that trade because they keep changing. And they keep changing in an unpredictable way. Businesses need plans for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years. You know, take our standards checks, for example. It makes a big difference to businesses that import material or goods from the EU, whether or not we've got those checks in place. Right now, we don't. We were supposed to. So for a business that needed to know this as part of its business plan, they were told, oh, these checks will be coming on January the 1st, 2021. Then it was July the 1st, 2021. Then it was January the 1st, 2022. Then it was July the 1st, 2022. Now we're being told not for a while. When? Don't know. Maybe never. This business had already planned for standards checks and changed those plans several times. Now they've got no idea what's going on. The next Prime Minister, no matter who it is promising that a load of regulations are going to be chopped from the statute books within about a year. I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow. But the thing is, which ones? They don't know. And by the end of 2023, that doesn't give them time to prepare. The trading environment for businesses, either based in Britain or trading with Britain, is just so incredibly volatile. There is no certainty. You see reports of when Boris Johnson gave speeches to business leaders and he'd bang on about Peppa Pig or some other crap. And those businesses would shake their head at the notion that our Prime Minister has no grasp of their problems. Maybe even worse under Liz Truss. Can you imagine? I'm looking forward to her first speech to the CBI. That'll be a laugh. And then you read the same reports when Keir Starmer or Rachel Reeves are given a speech and it's much more positive. Oh, they seem to understand. And traditionally, business leaders prefer Conservative governments for some mad reason. But you have to wonder if they're going to have to look at the chaos stretching out into the future and wonder if the way Ed Miliband ate a bacon sandwich was really all that bad after all. Because until they stop covering for the government and start calling out the damage they're doing, they are stuck with it. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.